Hi, my name's Vince Sheehan, and today I'd like to talk about Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I'd like to go through this 1981 film directed by Steven Spielberg and starring Harrison Ford, looking at how the story's put together as well as some of the themes that crop up in this great film. Now, I absolutely love Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's personally my favourite film ever made, and I think as far as blockbusters go, I think it's unparalleled. I think it's just so marvellous, so exciting, so interesting with that kind of religious element to it as well. Frightening in places, funny in other places, and it's just one exhilarating ride, this film. I just think it's fantastic. Now, if you could sum it up, I guess it's about the struggle to stop the Nazis gaining the Ark of the Covenant and all the power that possesses. And the film really is in 6 parts with an introduction and a coda at the end, or 6 acts. And the introduction is marvellous, you know, with that mysterious John Williams score, and I think the music is just sublime in this film. We're in a jungle in South America in 1936, and Indiana Jones and his rather untrustworthy companions are seeking this golden idol. And eventually, in this part of the film so full of tension and excitement, Indiana Jones goes through this cave and these caverns and these passageways, these booby traps, and gets to the gold idol. Famously, he puts that bag of sand on there to weigh it up, and then that big boulder comes down, etc. But he manages to escape, you know, and the gold idol is taken off of him by Belloc, who's his rival archaeologist, and is not a nice man. He thinks nothing of killing people who are in his way, including Indiana Jones. Anyway, chased by a tribe, Indiana Jones manages to get on board a plane, where he encounters a snake and he freaks out. He's scared of snakes, and which is a bit of a running joke in this film. Anyway, then we're into Act 1, and back at his university where he teaches, or college, whatever it is, Indiana Jones with his elder colleague Marcus, they're approached by the US intelligence, who've gotten wind that Hitler is after various occult objects, but particularly the Ark of the Covenant, and the name Ravenwood comes up, and Indiana Jones knows that's his mentor from years ago, and he had a relationship with Ravenwood's daughter. Anyway, it turns out that this thing called the Staff of Ra is key in finding out about the Ark of the Covenant. And Indiana Jones, after telling these people who've approached him about this mission what the Ark of the Covenant is, that it's this, that from the Old Testament, it's where the stone tablets, which the 10 Commandments are written on, were deposited, which ended up in the temple in Jerusalem, but then went missing. Indiana Jones accepts this mission, and off he goes in a plane. And the second act is set in Nepal, where he hopes to find Ravenwood, this guy who he used to know, be a student of, but fell out with, and he hopes to find the headpiece for the Staff of Ra here. He meets Ravenwood's daughter, Marion, and she's clearly very upset with Indiana Jones. He's not treated her well. They had some kind of relationship, and it looks like he left her. But she's got the headpiece. But then the Nazis arrive as well, and they're looking for this headpiece. And headed by Arnold Todt, who's this like really kind of cartoon book caricature of a Nazi, he threatens to torture Marion to get this headpiece back. But then Indiana Jones comes in. There's this incredibly exciting fight in this bar. And eventually Marion and Indiana Jones decide to work together. They've got the headpiece, and they're going to thwart the Nazis in this. although Marion expects some payment for this. And then we go into Act 2, and Act 2 is based around Cairo. In Cairo, they hope to decipher what it says on this headpiece for the Staff of Ra. But of course the Nazis are there as well, including this weird little monkey who keeps hassling Indiana Jones and Marion. It turns out this monkey's a kind of spy, and at one point after this, another exciting chase and fight, Indiana Jones thinks Marion has been killed, so he's in a deep depression. He meets Belloc again, who's there looking for the headpiece, his old enemy Belloc. Indiana Jones is puzzled about how the Nazis have gotten wind of the headpiece, how they know what's written on it. But then we realise that Todt, that chief Nazi, when he picked up the burning headpiece in the first act, he got the marks branded on the palm of his hand. But they need the writing on the other side. The Nazis haven't got that. And it turns out that they're digging in the wrong place because they're missing the writing from the back. Anyway, the third act is at the ancient city of Tanis, where they hope to find a well of souls, which will tell them where the Ark of the Covenant is. And the Nazis, of course, are digging in the wrong place because they've got the length of the staff wrong. But Indiana Jones knows what it should be, and he manages to dig in this place. And it's here we find out that Marion is alive and well after all. She's kept prisoner by Belloc. And Indiana Jones, in disguise, with a group of other people, including his friend Salah, who's helping him find the Ark of the Covenant. Indiana Jones finds the Well of Souls. He puts the staff in, and it's like this magical moment where the sun comes down and shows him where the Ark of the Covenant is in this ancient city. And the music there is absolutely wonderful as well. So mysterious, so moving. And then they start digging in the correct place. And eventually they manage to go down into this pit full of snakes again, find the Ark, but then the Nazis find out where they are. And Marion's thrown in with Indiana Jones, and they've got to find their way out of this tomb through thousands of snakes and mummies, etc. It's incredibly exciting and quite scary, particularly when I watched it as a child the first time. Once they escape the tomb, they see this Nazi plane, and Indiana Jones has to fight this really tough Nazi, and famously he gets cut up in the propeller, this guy, and the whole thing goes up in flames. And then Indiana Jones is on his way to retrieve the Ark. And Act 5 is really the journey of the Ark from Egypt to this Greek island. And on the way there's this thrilling chase, first of all on a horse, and then Indiana Jones on a car, and he's trying to get this thing, eventually gets the Ark of the Covenant. They're put on a boat, which should be going back to Cairo, but it's intercepted by the Nazis, and once again the Ark of the Covenant gets in the Nazis' possession. And Indiana Jones is, after threatening to blow the thing up with a bazooka, he's kind of captured with Marion. And we're into the last act now, where the true power of the Ark is revealed. Tied to a post, Marion and Indiana Jones are helpless as the Nazis open the Ark of the Covenant. And what looks like these spirits come out, torment and kill the Nazis, including the three main villains headed by Belloc. And here famously Todt's face melts, and and Belloc's head explodes, etc. The lid flies up in the air, it comes down again, and in the meantime Indiana Jones and Marion's kept their eyes shut. And then we're into the coda. Back in America, the Ark is sealed up in a crate and stored away amongst thousands of other crates. And I guess only the American intelligence knows exactly where it is. And Indiana Jones is not happy about this. He wanted it to go to a museum. So that's the story. 6 acts with an introduction and a coda. And some of the themes, of course, of this marvellous film include religion and the occult and the power associated with belief. Definitely a battle of good and evil here, of course, as well. There's the theme, perhaps, that some things should not be messed about with, including these ancient religious artefacts like the Ark in the Covenant. Even Salah says that, doesn't he? He says, you know, some things should not be disturbed, as a warning to Indiana Jones. And there's certainly that theme, that thread running through this film. There's this idea of the supernatural in this film as well. Supernatural forces of good and evil, which are perhaps epitomised by the Nazis themselves. But overall, this is just superb entertainment. Such a wonderful film. Watch it again if you haven't seen it for a long time. And I'll just put a little slideshow about the structure and the themes of this film now. Thanks for watching. Bye.